Welcome back to the Information Week News Desk, live at Interop. I'm Sarah Peters, and with me now is Prashanth Shenoy, the Senior Director of Enterprise Networks and Mobility at Cisco. Prashanth, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. Excited to be here.
Now, something that we have been hearing at Interop and really all over the place lately is this talk about digital transformation. And I'm sure that you've probably been asking yourself the same question is, well, haven't we been transforming digitally forever in IT? Why is this, what's new about this? Where do you stand on that, and what does digital transformation today mean to you?
It is like, it used to be a buzzword, as with everything else in technology when it starts off.
Right.
So, but it's taking a lot of steam because I feel like there are four big things that are coming together, and they've all crossed that early adopter kind of the cycle, right? So, and those are mobility, in terms of mobile devices, smartphones, tablets being the primary way of getting things done and doing business. So that's one big transition happening. The Internet of Things, like sensors everywhere to better utilize your information and to better provide service, that's the second thing. The data that these two generates and what can you make use of that is the third key thing. And the move to the cloud. So these are four big technology transitions that have been happening at different phases, but now they've all come together and are exploding at the pace. And this is what, for me, is causing this digital transformation, where every company has to use one or more of these technology to have a better service to their customer, provide better employee services, or have a one-up on their competition. So for me, that's the digital transformation, which is at the inflection point.
Now, I see what you're saying, that there have been so many different kinds of things happening at different stages, but right now, a lot of different big game changers are reaching a state of maturity. All at once.
Absolutely.
Got it. Now, being that is the case, it seems like every company that you talk to is considering themselves a technology company now. Every time I hear anybody, they're like, well, we're a software company now, and we're a technology company now. But from where you sit at Cisco, and you obviously are a technology company, do you think that that most businesses really know what that entails? Are they at the state yet where they really know what they're doing, or are they still just kind of plugging in a lot of stuff and hoping that it works?
No, it is going to be a pretty interesting and a long journey, right? So, and it's a hard problem to solve.
Sure.
And that's why, I mean, there's been a lot of research done in terms of digital projects and initiatives that customers have taken, of which 90% of them fail. Right, so it's so I'm not going to be like the downer here, right? But there is a challenge there, and the reason is, of course, for every big technology and market transition, you need to have a very clear multi-year strategy on how you're going to get there, right? There needs to be a big culture and process change happen within your organization. It's not just about technology. How people will embrace the technology and what they're going to do with it, and how are they going to change their processes internally to make that happen is a big part of it, right? So we are seeing hurdles there, right? But we've seen a lot of success too. And I can say there are three big questions that a company that has had a successful digital strategy or a digital technology implementation have been able to answer, right? The first thing is around, have I been able to successfully simplify my IT and business processes, right? So it can be through automation, it can be through efficient utilization of resources that gives them a faster time to market, right? And makes them a faster innovator than the rest of the nimble companies. So that's one of the core kind of the benchmark you can see. Like how are they simplifying processes, how are they using automation, etc. The second thing is all around workforce and workplace. I mean, employees are the biggest asset of any organization, right? So how are you retaining your top talent? How are you using technology to create a workspace, to provide a collaborative environment so your company can roll out innovative services through your employees is the second question they've been able to answer successfully. The third thing is how well do you know your customer, which is now we are looking at a customer segment of one. Like you are a customer segment by yourself because you have unique preferences, you have unique buying behavior and pattern. So the better a company can understand the customer and personalize the offer for that particular customer segment of one, they have been successful at leveraging technology to make that happen. And a lot of it is around analytics and data gathering and slicing and dicing and gaining insights, right? So for me, it boils down to those three. So if you have a strategy around that and get there and make the right culture and process change, you're going to be successful. But it's a tough journey. Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, those are three very clear goals, and that's excellent advice. But man, that does not sound.
Yeah.
That does not sound so easy.
It's definitely not. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, okay, so clearly, we're here at what is fundamentally still a networking event, but there's also networking is at the center of so many different functions, and Cisco has been at the center of networking for so long. What, from where you're sitting, how has everything changed, and where do you see it going right now? I mean, and I don't want to feed that question too much because I have my predictions, but
yeah, I mean, if I look from a network out, right? So since it's a networking show with a lot of other adjacent technologies, cloud, collaboration, IoT, security, all coming together, the role of networking has fundamentally changed in this digital transformation era, right? The networking was predominantly speeds and feeds, performance, reliability, and hey, just works, we're not going to bother it. As the network moves from this information era to this digital era, the role of the network has fundamentally changed, right? One is the sheer amount of data that the network sees can be harnessed in a better way. So from network analytics to business analytics, like user behavior, threat behavior, application behavior, that information is really valuable to the business in a digital era, as we were just discussing, and the network can fundamentally provide that, right? So that's one of the big shifts that we are seeing. The second thing is around this complexity. As I said, how can I simplify my IT? And the network has a huge role to play, and it's all around automation. Like customers spend around 3 times more OpEx in terms of keeping the lights on than they spend on CapEx, right? And there's a reason, like complexity of managing all this is extreme. So automation and how the network can move to like a self-automated network is going to be huge in terms of this transformation. And the third thing is security, no matter what, right? So I mean, it takes literally, I think, hours for hackers to get into the system and steal data, but it takes on an average 3 months for companies to know that they have been hacked, and then an additional 6 months to fix it. So 7 months a year spent in like fixing security issues is a loss of reputation, loss of revenue, right? So how the network can evolve to provide that more intelligent sensing of threat before it happens and then take action immediately when it happens or before it happens, it's going to go a long way in terms of having a secure digital business. So these are 3 areas where I'm seeing a lot of shift, and it touches not just the network, it touches security, it touches cloud, because that's where all the applications are moving, and it touches all these IoT type of applications that companies are planning towards, right? So it's a big IT hairy challenge, if you will, to bring this all together and have a strategy to go around. Yeah.
All of what you said was just really fascinating to me, because it really does show how the network is at the core of all of these different things. While for a while it seemed like people were starting to feel like the network is this old school thing because now we have the cloud. We don't need to worry about this other thing. And now data is the exciting thing, and that's all we care about. And they were separating it from the network as though they were completely discrete entities that never interacted with one another. And the way that you're putting it is it's very clear that they are interrelated, and that the network is in a position to really help enterprises get the most out of their data and help secure their enterprise and all of that. So, which is very exciting, obviously, especially while we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
so
great.
So what are you seeing happening right now in all of those? Because I can see from what you've just said is how networking technology now can make all of those things better. How is it right now making all of that stuff better?
I think right now a lot of our customers, as I go and talk to customers, it's the pain point that they're trying to solve is this day-to-day operational complexity, right? So automation is the new buzzword and the name of the game. If you look at the vendors here, right, SD, software defined, everything is big, right? And if you ask SD what it means, you'll get 100 different definitions. So I'm not going to create a new one here, right? But one of the fundamental advantages of SDN is like simplification, right? By abstracting the complexity and automating a lot of your IT and business processes. So that is one of the key things where the transformation is currently undergoing. And networking, both from the data center side and your branch, your wide area network, your campus environments, IT folks are trying to look at how can I use automation as a way of simplifying, whether it's my day zero thing, my day one, day N, provisioning of services, etc. So that's where a lot of focus is, and that's where the killer applications will be built, right? Whether it's from Cisco, whether it's from ecosystem partners, or whether it's by the customers themselves, right? And the reason why it's possible is because openness and programmability is coming into the network in a big way. That opens up the network for others to program, get the intelligence and program the way they want the network to behave, right? So it's happening on both sides, and that's an interesting place where the transformation is happening. And security is moving from a perimeter base to security at every part of the infrastructure. As I said, the network is a sensor and enforces another project that we continuously see, especially in industries that have regulatory and compliance requirements issues. That's a big focus area there, right? So those are the two areas, and analytics are generally done for B2C environments, right? Like retailers, hospitality, who need to customer data is the king. It's the new crude oil, if you will, right? But they want the gasoline out of that. So they need some machine to extract the insight, and that's where the network can help, and that's the other part, projects where you see a lot of discussion happening.
Right, so all kinds of different applications that we're going to be seeing soon, or are seeing. A couple things that you mentioned there were reminding me of other interviews that we've had at the news desk earlier today. You mentioned openness several times, and I was speaking to somebody earlier who was really pumped up on open source, and I asked her if she felt like we were just generally moving away from such a proprietary universe. And I know it's a little further afield from where we're going, but just because it's come up in several things you've said, I'm wondering if you feel that maybe we're going in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, as with everything in technology, a lot of these words are loaded words. When people say open, it means different things to different people, right? So for me, when I said open, it means that you can provide a level of interface that with APIs and stuff that helps customers leverage the investment that they have done in the hardware, right? So you can program the hardware to your liking, you can extract data to your liking. So it's open APIs is one way of looking at it. The second way of looking at it is an open platform. You don't need to run only the hardware vendor's proprietary software, but you can also run third-party software and services. So it's open from that thing, right? The generic definition of open is commodity boxes, you don't need anything customized, and it's open source, right? It's built by the crowd,
the
kind
world,
of a thing. So that's another definition. And it is happening, especially in research universities, etc., and emerging technology, where open source is big, right? And a lot of the customers and big companies' networks are open source, and they're providing open source also. So absolutely, I see that happening, but I think it's going to be in phases, and it's going to be focused on certain specific industry and vertical that are more open to open than others, if you will.
Well, it's nice that there's kind of a range of options. It's not so black and white anymore.
Exactly.
Well, Prashanth, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for stopping by. Prashanth Shenoy, thank you so much for being here. We'll be right back from the news desk. Stick around.